Hello, I'm an artist who likes to draw, and today you're watching a sped up process of me drawing a Tatsugiri from Pokemon. In this video, I will tell you how I exactly drew this Tatsugiri. So let's begin, shall we? So, to start, I am drawing a wireframe or a rough sketch of him. The reason why I do this is because I need a guide on how to do the line art. If I did the line art without a wireframe, everything would look unprofessional and horrible. So basically, now we're just positioning his arms by using a lasso tool. I decided to make his arms posed in quite a human-like pose. It's because it's not too absurd for him, considering that he's a very intelligent Pokemon and he probably knows this gesture, judging by his intelligence. Now, I'm drawing his face. You might say that this looks different from a normal Tatsugiri's face. This is because I am doing this in my art style, and my art style is different from the Pokemon art style. So now I am doing the line art, and all I have to do is basically just trace over this Tatsugiri, and you get the point. I don't need to say anything else, so I'll tell you something else. It's that Tatsugiri is not one of my favorite Pokemons. I'm neutral on them. But I usually draw my favorite Pokemon, so you may be asking, why are you drawing a Pokemon that's not your favorite? Well, it's because a person on YouTube called Luck the Neko requested me to draw a Tatsugiri, and since I don't want to be selfish and I want to be a nice person, I decided to take their request. Thank you, Luck the Neko. So anyways, now we're doing the coloring, and how I do this is using a lasso tool to highlight an area and then filling it in with the desired color. I also like manually drawn shapes to form patterns. It's because it's better to do that than use a lasso tool, in my opinion. I have nothing else to say about the coloring, so I'll just tell you some fun facts. In my art style, the Tatsugiris have mouths. It's because, well, it appears that they do canonically have mouths, but due to the Pokemon art style, it's not shown. My art style is a blend between cartoony and realistic, and every single mouth shows, regardless if the art style that its source material gets rid of it or not. So, of course, I gave him a mouth. So, before we move on to the shading, I'd like to tell you this. So basically, I decided to draw the pink Tatsugiri rather than the usual orange one. It's because I wanted to have more variety, and pink is one of my favorite colors. It's nice to be different sometimes, right everybody? So anyways, now we're on to the shading, and how I do this is use an airbrush tool with an opacity of 50, and I use a lasso tool to assure that none of the airbrush goes out of the lines. I also added a tinge of color to the airbrush rather than using a solid black or white. It's because it makes the artwork look better. It's because it would look worse if I used the monochrome colors. So that's a bit of unnecessary charm that makes the art look good. I am doing something unique for the shading inside the mouth. So basically, rather than having the layer be 50 opacity, I made the airbrush itself 50 opacity. That means each layer of airbrush that I add, the mouth gets darker, just like it would in real life. So, while we wait for the next interesting part to come up, let me just tell you something. So basically, off record, I double checked the art to make sure that no line art, colors, and no shading has gone over the lines. The reason why I don't include this in the actual footage, it's because it would be considered as filler, as nothing is actually happening. Well, something is happening. It's just that nothing is being done to progress the art, so it's not featured in these speed paints. It's a behind the scenes thing, and I have no screenshots of it. So basically, in order to see the white shading more easily, I made the layer grey and I lowered the opacity of the colors. So now that we've finished drawing this funky fish, we have to do the background now. So basically, what I've decided to do is to make some droopy markings, since this is the droopy form of Tatsugiri after all, with a paintbrush that is reminiscent of a Japanese brush pen. Since Tatsugiri are based on traditional Japanese culture, it would be like a missed opportunity not to do so. So basically we're just editing already existing marks and drawing new ones in. You get the point, we're just waiting for something to happen. So now I'm going to be adding like gradients to everything to make it look better. So basically we're just adding like some texture onto these droopy marks. And now we're going to add some gradients. So we're first adding like a light shade in, just like that, with a lighter shade of pink, and using the lasso tool to make sure it doesn't and now we're gonna add a darker shade of pink. And with that, you're going to see the finished result. Looks pretty cool, huh? So anyways, I hope you enjoyed me drawing this Tatsugiri and explaining how I did it. I hope Luck the Neko liked this art. If you want more of this content, then make sure to subscribe and follow me on Twitter to see my art on Twitter. Goodbye.